Welcome to Talk Theory. It's your host, Kiara Barnes, where I talk all things life, what makes us human and what makes us superhuman. Sit back, relax, and join me for a chat. Hey, I hope everyone had a good little holiday break. Welcome back to another episode of the Talk Theory podcast. Thanks for being a listener, and glad to have you. Okay, so today we are getting into it. We're talking about how to keep the faith, folks. In whatever it is that you want to do or complete. I myself have had plenty of ups and downs. By now, you all know I'm an actress, musician. I write as well. I'm a writer. And within this industry, there just comes a lot of rejections among the yeses. And often it can feel and look as if there's much more rejection than acceptance. So, how does one deal with rejection? Because when you're getting an acceptance or a yes to something that you want, I mean, for the most part, it's happy days, right? Although, even with that, it comes with its own responsibility. But staying with the theme here, how do we handle rejection? How do you continue to get back up and move forward despite the current outcome? And honestly, the truth is, for me, you have to have more faith than fear, more belief in your truest expression of what your reality looks like, rather than what is being proposed in the moment. Meaning, if you have a dream to do something, be something, have something, you have to get so specific and so detailed about the what and the why. What is it that you really want to be or do, and why? Why do you care to be or have this thing? Right? Like, what does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it do for you and people around you? What's the point? Getting very specific about these things is incredibly important. Because when things are looking a little sideways or not how you originally planned, you need to be able to look back on something to support your reasoning of getting started with whatever it is that you were doing in the first place. This, by the way, this goes for everything, right? Like jobs, goals, new skills, etc. Because if you don't have a reason, otherwise, it's so easy to just give up on said thing the minute it appears to be too difficult or too hard. And I always say this. Things only appear hard to us when they're new. Honestly, think about it. It's usually the idea of something that seems more intimidating than actually doing it, because when you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, you're just doing exactly that. There's no real thought. You're in the moment. It's in progress. You don't really have time to be thinking about whatever it is. You're just in progress. And a good example, I would say, this is kind of basic, but learning a new math skill or formula in math. At first, it seems a little hard, confusing. Why the heck are there X's and Y's and W, Q, Z, G's in math? Okay. What are we doing here? it can be a little confusing, but in reality, it was just new and you lacked a certain amount of information to make it make sense. But once you got the formula down and, understand why there was H's and Q's and G's and LMNOPs, it made sense. And it was smooth sailing. There wasn't really much thought anymore for it. And that's really my theory on that. But to circle back, you need a deeper reason to continue to push forward and fuel you with purpose. And look, it doesn't need to be like something huge. Like, this is going to be the thing that ends world hunger, which, if it is, shoot, more power to you. Okay. But I'm saying it doesn't have to be like that. You could just be something like, I have love and passion for whatever said thing. And with this thing, I know I'll be able to give back to myself and have enough resources over time to share to create this opportunity that, expands into whatever. And it can be that, or it could be something even as just you want to be happy and love how it feels to be happy. And whatever it is that you want is a puzzle piece to your happiness. And that means something to you. Essentially just connecting it to you. It needs to resonate. And personally, this works great for me. Every once in a while, I have to do these check-ins to keep me in the right mind and energy, because the truth is, rejection, I know some of y'all are already going to roll your eyes, but rejection is protection. And I know that's been overused and oversaid, but I truly believe that. Anything I haven't gotten, if it didn't make sense in the moment, it 100% made a lot of sense later on. And truly, I'm always grateful for it. Especially because when it comes to my acting career, I'll share something with you all. I really do care about the roles I take and do. I'm very intentional about what I read for or even accept, because I truly believe I have a responsibility as a woman of color in this industry. And I understand that what I portray is to be shared with many. And because of the color of my skin and origin, it matters. It matters how the world perceives me, perceives us. And, there's been a long history of how POCs within the industry, people of color, being depicted in a light that is more damaging than it is uplifting. And so, I want to be part of that movement that is pushing forward more up-to-date, accurate, and diverse versions of what and who we are today, what we look like, all of that. And it's important to me, very important. So, looking back at some of the things I didn't get, in reality, I had to take a moment to be in thought and see that, that role didn't really align with our purpose, the bigger picture. That role didn't really push forward the agenda that you truly want to be pushing forward. And also knowing that what I do and portray also opens doors for other women of color. It's really wild, but there's a huge butterfly effect to what we do as actors and the doors that we can open. It gets deep. Anyway, hello. Now to bring it back for a sec. There is a very real side to rejection. When you initially get the no, I'm not going to lie, it stings. Okay? Ouchie mama. Everyone wants to receive good news. Okay, so receiving the opposite doesn't feel the best. And I think that's normal and fair. So How does one get through that though? And honestly, it depends. It depends on the person, who you are, and how you best process things. But for me, well, I allow myself to feel the feelings. I'm a feeler, folks. Okay, I like to feel my feelings. Sometimes I need a few minutes, hours, or a day or two to get through it. Just kind of depends on what it is and just how I'm feeling already. But I allow myself to feel the feeling because I've tried bypassing the moment by smothering it in positive affirmations. And look, I'm your spiritual girly, right? Like I love an affirmation. I love an affirmation just as much as the next. But if you got to believe it and you got to be in the mood for an affirmation. Because if you're just slapping on things, positive vibes, but you don't believe a word, it makes the moment feel worse. And especially when you get to the point where, later on, where you're just feeling low and you're racking your brain, well, I did all those affirmations, or I thought I was okay, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you never addressed how that made you feel when it initially happened. So now, hours passed. Yeah, you feel low. That makes sense. So I let myself, like I said, feel the feelings. And then I get back to the drawing board. This is my dad's side of me, the coach mentality. But I just look at what I did to see if I could have done anything differently. Perhaps make some notes. So the next time I'm in acting class, I can really make sure I'm locked in on those things and feeling confident moving forward. And once I do all that, and maybe there's no notes. Maybe sometimes it happens where it's, oh, yeah, we loved you. Just, went with a different look. Went with whatever. No. There's no rhyme or reason to the industry that I'm in. And so you have to get to a point within the process of that where you just let go. I talk about this a lot, and I know that it can just be difficult and hard, but that's why you do all that stuff before so you can get to the point of release. Do all the, address how you're feeling, look back at what you could have done to do better, try and address whatever, and then get to that point of release. And like I said, you already know I am a spiritual person. I've manifested absolutely everything I have now in my life. Everything. And the letting go is the biggest part into a successful manifestation. It's the ultimate signature of trust. Believing that it's not just you running the show, that there's other pulling energies out there, right? But also believing that these energies want me to succeed. Right? Because when I succeed and bring in those manifestations, I'm able to share that love and light with everyone around me. And that in itself has a rippling effect. And also, for me, it takes off just a lot of that unnecessary pressure that I have to know everything and know how everything works. Jeez, man. I mean, that in itself is so heavy and a lot to carry. Trying to balance knowing it all is so all-consuming. And honestly, it feels good to know that I don't know everything. I don't have to know everything. Knowing that whatever I'm supposed to know or learn, I will know at the perfect time. There's no rush, no stress to have everything in my life figured out. Although, don't get me wrong, sometimes in certain moments it can feel like, dang, it'd be nice to know. It would be so much better. But truly and ultimately, I think we can agree that it's all much more rewarding and satisfying to receive something through the growing and learning process. And let me just clarify something really quickly. And some of you are going to, disagree on this, and that's okay. We don't always need to agree. That's all right. But growing and learning doesn't always have to be associated with pain. I feel like it's been normalized in our society to always be on the grind, to go through the struggle, to get the victory. And although, look, pain and heartbreak, that's part of the human experience. That's just something we get. No one leaves unscathed, right? No one. But I just don't think everything needs to have such a heavy attachment to that kind of mentality. And I really, myself, I had to rework my brain with this a few years ago because I was so like, I got to work hard. I got to do all these hours. I got to And I tell you what, ever since then, I stopped doing that and switched to a different mindset and paid attention to what I said. I'm doing everything I ever wanted. I'm getting everything I ever wanted, but with just less stress. Overworking yourself and convincing yourself of struggling has never gotten anything to you faster. Honestly, really think about that. Okay? It actually does the opposite. It feels like whatever you want is taking forever just to even get to you. But have you ever noticed the moment you release something or quote unquote stop caring about it, meaning releasing all of the hows and whens, it just somehow pops up. And this is why I tell y'all, it is so important to mind what you say. Everything holds energy and frequency. And not even just that, just on a logical sense, the more you say things out loud, the more your brain digests it and takes that on as fact. Think about it. You have a thought in your head, and then when you say it out loud, you hear it, and it comes back to the brain to process. So you truly double down on what you say. And so if you're saying certain things out loud that are perhaps a little more low vibrational, chances are your brain will process that and create an environment where your body is low vibrational. You might feel more tired, a lack of inspiration, angry, tense. You know when you're low and when you're up. We humans, we're really not that hard to read. We humans carry our energy very obviously. So, with that said, others around you are affected by the energy you exude, which is why you can tell just by walking into a room with a stranger, a friend, family member, coworker, if they are stressed, having a bad day, having a good day. We physically change how we present in posture and stature when we're in a certain mood. So that's food for thought. That if you're in the vibration, in that kind of vibration, how are you energetically presenting to the world? And could that potentially be putting people off? And the answer to that is, it could very well be likely. I mean, I don't know about you, but I prefer to spend time with folks and work with folks who seem like they're happy and having a good time. Obviously, with the exception that everyone's going to have a bad day. But in general, you want to feel good and have people around you that can keep that kind of energy up. So wouldn't it make sense that high vibrating people are more attracted to high vibrating people? You know, it's like a high vibrational person isn't going to see someone or feels that someone's off or down and say, hey, I'm feeling really good right now. I actually think I'll start feeling bad now so I can match your vibration. It's like, no, no one's doing that. And if you're wondering, well, how can I learn to hone the whole energy thing? You know, get that high vibe thing going on. My advice, it's pretty simple. Read some books. Get curious, take what resonates and leave the rest. You don't have to believe or do everything someone says, including me. Some of this might work for you and some of it might not, and that's okay, but do your research. We live in a time where we have so much information at our fingertips. And I'm guilty of it too. You know, I could be taking way more advantage of it, but do what you can to better yourself, and it will make a world of difference. Now, I just want to say, wrapping up, and make a point that rejection isn't easy for anyone. But if you want something strongly enough and love doing it, the truth is, you won't give up. Even if you try, you can't. It's like there's something ingrained in you to have it. You think about it often too deeply, and it's really a part of you. It almost actually feels more unnatural to just quit. So the more you stick to it and just allow the process to be whatever the process is going to be, you'll get to that end goal / desired thing. You will. That's just common sense. Just continuing on a certain path, eventually you'll get that. Now, this week's theory is this. Releasing the need to control outcomes will make space to allow what's destined for you to find you. Okay. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I love you very much. And this was fun. This was really fun and just nice to hear, truly. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram at Kiara Barnes Official. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and feelings for these episodes. I will see y'all next week. Okay. Love you. Bye.